Welcome back, everyone, to another market conversation. I'm really excited to have Rob from Digital Asset News in the house, the giver of tomato coin. That's right. Tonight is all about proof of sauce. We're going to talk about lessons learned, but also we're going to get into we'll do this thing at the end of the show. We're going to call it the road forward. Just as it's important to understand the things that are catalysts and accelerants in this market, I think it's just as important to understand the things that could create headwinds, the things that could become impediments or impair our progress forward. And we'll get into that because every investor should be cognizant of these things. We're all basing investment theses on our own personal history and the things that we are learning. And my experience is that not a lot of people are talking about some stuff that I think is very, very important and should be part of the conversation. So I want to start this off. I want to set some context for tonight because I think it's really, really important. And it's easy to understand through like stories, right? I'm going to start you off. I got this from Charlie Patello on Twitter, actually. And he stated in August of 2011, the median home price in the United States was $220,000. Now here we are 10 years later, and the median home price is $391,000. That's almost a 200% increase in 10 years. Wonderful for homeowners. However, if you're not a homeowner and you're looking to be a homeowner, it makes it tough because the statistic is average wage increase has only been 5% over that same 10-year period of time, which means as a wage earner, if you're saving to buy a home, your wages are never going to increase to the level that the price appreciation on the real estate that you want to purchase is accruing at. This is a major problem, and it sets the stage for this all-important context. We all must become investors. The only way to beat inflation is to get your money that is created by your time is quickly into an asset that will appreciate at the rate or higher of the things that you want to acquire. To talk about this and really dive into the lessons is a dear friend of the channel. Everybody knows him. Digital Asset News, Mr. Rob. Welcome to the show. How you doing, young man?
I'm doing good, Jerry. That was a good intro.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's always interesting to see how you position the whole show before we even start. So that was scary. I'll be honest with you. I think when you have homes going up, doubling, and then wages almost, let's just be honest, they're stagnant at 5%. What kind of hope does to live the American dream? I mean, not just American dream, just the basic necessities throughout the globe. It's pretty tough. When Mullet is here, so that gives me hope. All right. So what do we got?
When Mullet's a dear friend of the show. You know what I wanted to do? And I think this is germane to every single investor, regardless of your status, whether you're a diehard DCA guy or you pick and choose positions or you're a trader. It doesn't matter. This issue affects every single one of us in the digital asset space, yet the digital asset space does not provide anything to address this issue. This is the issue. What happens to your assets if you die? Unlike the traditional world that has chain of custody and beneficiary assignees, legal status, with probate and other things, digital assets doesn't have any of those things. Matter of fact, even publicly traded companies like Coinbase do not allow you or do not offer the ability to assign a beneficiary to your account. So I'd like to ask you, being a savvy investor that you are, I'm sure the legacy investments and assets that you own, that's all dialed in. How do you address this digital asset space?
It just depends. Like, so when you have digital assets, and it doesn't matter what they are, right? If they fit on a nano ledger, it's pretty much taken care of, as long as your partner or the person that you want to have access to or control of it knows exactly what to do. And thankfully, my wife knows how to use a nano ledger because we've gone through the whole steps and everything else. So there's that part. But then there's a next part, which is, what if you're just older, right? Or what if you don't even tell your family how this all works? Or what if you don't explain it to them? Well, if you don't, then all of those assets, they're gone, right? And then another thing is, well, what if your wife knows about it, or your husband knows about it, your partner knows about it, but they don't really know how to access it. And you tell them how to do it, but they're like, I don't really know. I really do think that outside of me, I mean, because my wife knows how to do it, but outside of me, I think there's a space for a cryptocurrency expert, or a person that could come in and be like a mediator.
Consultant.
Yeah, a consultant, exactly. That just kind of comes in and says, I know everything about cold storage devices, warm storage, if it's a MetaMask type of wallet or anything else. And, where are, any kind of passwords that you have, I just need at least those, and I'll show you exactly how to put them into your account. We'll create an account. We'll siphon them to a Coinbase, a Voyager, or something like that. And then you can ship them off to your bank account. I guess, so there's that part. But what if it's like on a Celcius or a Coinbase or a Voyager? So like here's the problem. Well, first of all, you shouldn't really be keeping too much on a exchange, right, Jerry? We would agree.
I don't follow that particular advice, but I hear you.
I know. I get lazy too.
Oh, I'm not lazy. I'm just hungry for that yield. And that'll be great. We're going to dive into the difference. See, you and I are investors, and then after that, there's really very little similarities, right?
Yeah.
The way you do what you do and the way I do what I do couldn't be any more, diametrically opposed. And it's not because we don't have both the same goals.
Yeah.
We just both live a different way. And so the resources I have available to me are different than the resources that you have available to me. And we'll get into the differences of that later. But let's put a bow on this beneficiary issue.
Yeah.
So you're saying do the best you can to educate your spouse, your loved one, whoever your trusted circle of stuff is. I agree with that 100%. I'll tell you what I have done. My son is my beneficiary for everything. And what I've done is I use an encrypted email service called Proton Mail.
Yeah, heard of that.
And it's only for this one purpose, and that is every wallet that I create. So my Avalanche wallet, which is staking to Dan News, my Cardano wallet staking to Dan. I think I'm Dan 1. I'm in Dan 1 or Dan 2. I think I'm in Dan 2.
That's a good one. It
is a good one. And I've got all these wallets for all these different things. So each email contains, hey, this is where you go get the wallet. These are the private keys. These are the wallet's passwords. This is the pertinent information related to that wallet. So all the individual stuff is got its own email. Then I got one for Google. And this is how you tell Google you are me. This is make sure you go get the 2-factor authenticator. These are all the platforms I'm using. Here are the email addresses and usernames and passwords for those platforms. Yeah. And I got everything dialed in with the exception of the Luna station that I just picked up. I just picked up Luna like a week and a half ago. So I have not created that email. So if I die on this show, son, I'm sorry, you don't get the Luna, but everything else you already have access to. And that's what I've come up with. But I think there will be And hopefully somebody will create this easy, whether it be a multi-sig type of thing that can layer on any blockchain, or have a legal system that works, because an individual consultant, I don't know if they can withstand the liability. What if somebody came to me with your ledger, somehow stole your stuff, got the private keys and stuff, and falsely represented themselves to that consultant, and you're not dead, and now all the stuff in your ledger's gone? Who do you come to? Is there liability? I don't know, and I don't know if I'd want to take on that liability for the measly $200 that you could charge as the fee to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's this there's a project that me and this gentleman have been going back and forth on, and I just typed it into the chat. It's called sarcophagus.io, and it's a smart contract. And there's different levels to it. I encourage everybody to take a look at it. And I've been talking with this group for about a year now, and it's an interesting concept. Like when there's different levels to it, and they have it like this. Like they break it down to embalmers, recipient, archaeologist, and the curse, and the resurrection. So the embalmer is the user who creates a sarcophagus, which is like a dead man switch. You know, like the dead man switch in like the movies, someone dies and then this thing happens and blah, blah, blah. So the recipient is the Ethereum address that will have access to the file, whatever file it is that's supposed to be. The archaeologist is a third-party incentivized node operator. The curse is the agreement between the embalmer and the archaeologist. And the resurrection is the time the outer layer of the sarcophagus will be decrypted, if not attested to. And it's I haven't looked at it in a while. It was kind of like the basics of it, but it just kind of, the person that is the third party, I guess they call it the archaeologist, they're incentivized to give out the right information at the right time to the right people, or else all of their funds and fees go away. So it's a pretty interesting concept. I thought, well, that'd be pretty good. And again, like all these things that we're talking about, this reminds me of like in the good old days of the internet, when it came about and people would say, all these jobs are going to go away because the internet's going to just destroy everything. Well, it really didn't. It really created a lot of more jobs we had no idea would even exist. And I think this is one of those areas. Consultants or devs who actually look at code and smart contract and say, this is good, this isn't good, and so on and so forth. So yeah, something like that.
I think a lot of that'll happen too. Right on. Well, we put a pin on the beneficiary topic. Let's jump into this, because one of the things that differentiates you and I is the fact that you generate an income, right? The entirety of you created multiple revenue streams in your life. Very admirable. And I'm very, very,
thanks.
And this is not a condescending way. I'm very proud of you. You have achieved a wonderful entrepreneurial experience for yourself. You show this on your channel all the time, all the different things that you're invested in. You are not a one-trick pony.
I try not to.
When you look at your income, right? Because your income is mainly derived, for the most part, by you taking your time and applying it to something to generate something, right? You're looking at property. Is this a good investment? Not a good investment. You're doing your Amazon businesses, Yeah. A lot of that requires your time in exchange for the value that you get back for that. Then you take that value and you take your, what we all call operating expense, out of that. And hopefully there's a difference, right? We'll call it profit.
Yeah.
So at the end of the month, let's say I'm going to throw a scenario at you. Let's say you generate $100 for that month, and your expenses and operating costs are only $80. Now you have $20 of profit. How do you immediately think of using that? Walk us through that after expenses journey.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would hope that my margin is a little bit there's a bit widening of just 20% that I could actually use it. But let's just say $20, right? So if I have $20, and if we're talking about all the operating expenses for the businesses themselves, and that could be anything, right? That could be any kind of like Amazon fees. That could be the mortgage payment. That could be the HOA fees. That could be the cleaning fees. Whatever. And it goes to that point. And if you have $20, then you have to think about this. Well, we also need to factor in living expenses, right? So let's say
I meant after total
everything.
cost. This is everything.
Profit.
Everything's paid for. This is what we would consider profit.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. Like when I see like extra money that I have, I just think to myself, first of all, do I really need to put this in the bank? Because what is it going to do there for me? It's going to do absolutely nothing for me. I mean, it's just actually it's just going to erode essentially. You might as well just say that the bank is just acid, and it's just slowly eating away your cash and the value and the purchasing power of your cash, because over time that's what happens. So to me, if I have $20, the first thing I'm thinking to myself, honestly, the first thing I'm thinking of is, okay, first of all, I know a dip is coming. That is the first thing in my head. I'm always in the back of my mind, I'm always fearful of things that are going to happen. I think that's what kind of makes me a little bit successful, because I'm like, I just know that there's the rainy days around the corner. And I think to myself, okay, so if the dip is coming, I need to actually have that ready for the dip. But if it's okay now, we're not going all up, then I'm going to start to buy cryptocurrencies, of course. And which ones are they? And then after that, if we're not in a dip day and we're like, let's say it's going pretty good, like today was a great day, right? A couple 100 billion, everybody's happy, right? Great. What I'm looking for now is I'm like, okay, so in my other businesses, what do I need to put into my other business? In the sports facility, can we actually improve parts of the lighting or the courts or whatever else? And then for real estate, okay, the properties that we're looking at right now, can we push the timeline and to actually get into those properties more so we can get into the short-term rentals and start to get ready for the next evolution, which is usually here in Puerto Rico. You have a pretty good timeline of October, November, December. This is the downtime. So get ready now as things go about. So that's kind of like what I'm always thinking of. And then I'm not really thinking about, what I should do is I should go to France or I should go to Europe and spend it on stuff. For me, like I just look at stuff and I go, the stuff that I buy, I'm like, why would I buy this crap? Because it doesn't really do anything for me. That's why I drive a Dodge Caravan, which I got to tell you right now, it's an awesome vehicle. There's a ton of room and it's great in gas mileage. And when Mullet knows, because he's seen it. So like all these things, I'm just like, I just like when I look at things to buy, I'm like, is this going to generate some kind of income for me, or is it going to take away my income? That's the basics of what I can tell you.
Right on. I think that's a great segue. Okay, folks. In the chat, should you want to be a holder of the ever scarce, ever popular tomato coin, simply take your Cardano Daedalus deposit address or any private ADA address for deposits, put them in the chat, and allow the magic to happen. Look at that. Look at that. It's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Here.
So I'll tell you,
So Bo Jill, congratulations. You just won yourself 10,000 tomato coins.
10 G's?
Yeah, 10 G's. That's the real POS. That's the real proof of sauce. There's a consensus.
Well, shit. I didn't know we were talking 10 G's.
We go big, Jerry. We go big.
Yes, you do, senor. Hence why I had my Daedalus already loaded up in anticipation of the show. And bang, I'm going to get into it also. Boom! Pow! I'm in.
Boom. Where is it? So I'm looking for, okay, hold on. Where is Bo Jill?
So while you do that, I wanted to give my side. So, I don't have an income, right? How I live is, I'm on a set budget that was set forth by an annuity that I got passed down to me from my mother, right? And it's there till I die. Unfortunately, I'm the last leg of it. It started with my grandmother, got cut in half to my mother, gets cut in half to me, and then after I die, it's gone forever. It's $350 a month. That's how I live. Now, I have received extra money. Some money's come in from the YouTube channel. Sometimes I get affiliate link stuff, things of that nature. Today, I got $50.
Nice.
Case in point, I have had a practice of putting everything into crypto, and today was no different. However, I did not invest in a project that you would normally think one would invest in. I just put it into USDC because I too, like you, believe that it's, we're going to have cycles. We're going to have many cycles.
Yeah.
And so when the market is down and I have money that comes in, I fortify positions that are in my long-term strategy. Every once in a while, I will take a lottery ticket, $50, $100. They've been as high as $500 on a project that I can earn yield on. And I'm happy if it goes to dust, I'm okay with it. And in 10 years, if it becomes something righteous, then right on. But for the most part, I have goals and I allocate to those goals depending upon circumstance. I think each and every one of us has a system, and I believe it's teachable and repeatable. And I would love to hear from the audience, if they can, in a sentence, kind of say, how are they looking at their quote unquote non-essential dollars, what they need to live? How are they addressing that? Because with this thing about the housing and the assets going up, that's a real deal.
Yeah.
We've got an entire generation of millennials that have hit their earning level as adults in the highest price stock market in history, highest price real estate in history, lowest fixed income return market in history, and a debt burden that has caused this thing with monetary policy where we have no choice. The governments around the world have no choice but to continue to take on more and more debt and issue more and more currency to deal with it.
Sucks. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It does suck. And the only way to beat that is to get into assets. But people can't buy houses. It's very difficult, but you can buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. You can buy $100 worth of Cardano. You can go to a live stream show and get 10,000 tomato coins that might be worth something someday. That you can do. And so I was just curious what people are doing. Here we go, right here. Dom. I buy USDC and Voyager and earn 10% and use it when the dip hits.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful strategy.
Yeah. Hey, before we go on, the person that put in their address, I can't find it. Was it Dilk or something like that?
Brady, help him out.
Yeah, put that in. Can Brady put that in the private chat, and then I'll as we're going through this, I'm gonna put it in my Daedalus wallet. Get the.
Here we go. It's an interesting reply to that request. If you have no debt and have cash flow, I think it's good to reward yourself. Only have one life to live, and it's not all about saving and investing. Diversify is the key. This is his thinking. And you know what? If that works for you, excellent. You know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, Rob, wouldn't you agree that the most important thing is that you have sanity in what you're doing, that it makes sense to you and you're comfortable doing it? Because this is a long game.
Yeah, it's a long game. Yeah, and you have to enjoy the life that you lead, that's for sure. But I just see we've all got those friends that just have to have the new latest and greatest things, and that's fine. Go right ahead. I find that my life is it's not so stormy, and it's pretty straightforward. If I just have I'm in my rhythm and the things that I do throughout the day or throughout the week, it's kind of like it's a kind of a settlement. And when I can just kind of find a good rhythm, I'm pretty happy in my life doing these things. And I think if I just keep on that path, occasional indulgences here and there, I think it should be okay. So yeah, why not?
Right on. I'm of the delay gratification, because I spent most of my life not delaying gratification. And when it came time to think about not working anymore and not doing this and not doing that, I realized, wow, I was in trouble and I needed to make I needed to make a change. And so, 5 years ago, I did.
Yeah.
And things are working out quite well as a direct result of that.
Very nice. And then there's a question from JDO. He says, Jerry, is there only one winner for Tomato Coin? No. There's gonna be 10 winners, as a matter of fact. And let's start doing that right now, actually. Let me see. Well, first of all, JDO is always in the comments, so I'm gonna have to give him 10,000 Tomato Coin if I can just find his damn address. And
he wants a bonus because he's staking with D-News.
Well, first of all, JDO, you should have already gotten Tomato Coin if you were staking in the D-News pool. As of I think about a month ago, we sent it out to every pretty much, it was every staker for D-News, which I have to tell you.
I'm a staker in D-News. How do I check that?
So you have to, open up your Daedalus. Well, you got a Daedalus, right?
Yeah.
So under Daedalus, where do you get your rewards? Which,
I get rewards in all 5 wallets, but I would only need to wait. Which one is you? Hang on a second. Which one is you? I got one of these as you.
So what it is let me just. How about this? When you look in your rewards, look in every
Beyond
wallet.
Moon. So my Beyond Moon wallet, I got it. So I go to that wallet.
Hold on, Beyond Moon. What's that?
Yep, that's the investment club I run.
Oh,
my Patreon group has an investment fund where we invest in. We take all the subscription money, right?
Yeah.
Like most Patreon people, the person who sets up the group gets all the Patreon money, right?
Yeah.
Well, my Patreon group, all the money that comes in from subscriptions, we as a club buy digital assets.
Ah.
And the entire club will benefit from the profit of that.
Yeah.
I'll keep the subscription money when we settle up later.
Yeah.
So so I go to that wallet. I'm at that wallet.
So is it in this? Is that in the Daedalus wallet?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you labeled it that, right?
Yeah, I named it Beyond Moon. It's one of 6 wallets I have in Daedalus.
Yeah.
I have 6 different Daedalus wallets in my Daedalus wallet. But I'm at the Beyond Moon, which stakes to D-News. Where do I see? Because there's nothing in the transaction history, but that's all Cardano. That's all ADA stuff that's in there. Where do I see Tomato Coin?
So it should just be right there. Hold on. I'm going to send you some, and let's see if you can see it. So right now, JDO, I'm going to send you 10,000 Tomato Coins. 10,000. And the thing is that the thing that's a bummer, it's good and bad for the Cardano wallet, is that if you want to send these types of tokens, you can't just airdrop them for free. It actually costs you like 1.4 ADA each time. And we've got hundreds and hundreds of stakers. So it was like not a cheap thing to actually send those out. But it worked out okay. All right. So let me see. So Jerry, I saw your address.
It cost you 1 point something Cardano to do this?
Yeah, every time.
Well, shit. Wow, wow, that adds up.
Yeah, you should have seen my I had the team do it for all the stakers, and I was like, God damn, that was expensive. But I mean, it is what it is. What are you gonna do?
There's an element of the okay. I'm a big believer in energy, and I don't know if you are. I've never heard you talk about this, but I see you do things that are right in my quote unquote philosophical way of life, and that is you do give back. There are so many things you do that don't have any financial attachment to them. Your Dan Teaches Crypto. I've seen you so many times on your show take profit and on the air, on your recording, and direct it right to a charity.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
No,
well,
I think it's totally cool. I believe in what goes around comes around. If you're doing well and you help somebody else that isn't doing well, or add value to something that adds value to people's lives, that is karma, man. Karma can't necessarily be quantified, but I think it's real.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, yeah, I always forget about that, because like when people say like, what do you do with whatever else? So yeah, I mean, you're only on this planet for so much time, right? So you might as well make the people around you happy. And then of course, by you doing the right things at the right time with the right people, your life kind of works itself out. And it just kind of goes like that. That's just how it is. Speaking of which, Eric Truitt, congratulations. You're about to get 10,000 tomato coins.
Bam!
Yeah, bam. Let's see. Jerry, check your wallet, because Cardano should be pretty quick, I would think.
I'm here. Multiple tokens received.
Ah, there we go.
14 million Cardano.
Yeah, I sent you 14 million. Congratulations.
I think you typoed. I'll send it back to you. I would never keep all that. That wouldn't be right.
I'll send it back to you. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Let's see.
So David's got a thing for us. He says, looking forward to your taking profit insight, Rob.
Oh, yeah.
One of the wonderful things about Rob is that you have been pretty open. I mean, obviously, I love the fact that you cop to, hey, the things I'm talking about, I got a bias for because they're the things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
That's just, I think all of us are like that. I don't want to talk about things I'm not interested in.
Yeah, it's boring.
But let's talk about that. So what would you, if you had to say, what are the three things, what would be the three most painful lessons that you've gone through here in your quote unquote investment career? The three most painful lessons.
I'm still going through it. And one of those lessons, I've talked about this at length, is the painful lesson was, you know what the most painful lesson was? Honestly, is realizing that this whole space, as fast as we go up, as far as profits and gains, it's not a get rich quick. I remember when I first got in 2017, remember when you first got into crypto? I think most people have the same story. They got into crypto because they heard about these fantastic gains, right? And then all of a sudden, they're like, what the hell happened? And because it just kind of had crypto winter and it was just awful. And then they see like things go up 20, 50, 100%. And then they dump like 70, 80%. Like, what the hell happened? I think that was a real wake up call that there are no easy streets. There are no passports where you can just kind of like just bypass everything. It all takes work. And when I first got in, I just thought to myself, God dang, those people who got in the very beginning that had Bitcoin, they're just lucky. They're just lucky they were there at the right time at the right place. No, in all honesty, those guys had a lot of work. So that was the first thing. The second thing is that I figured out how to dollar cost average and hold on and be strong, and then buy the dips. Now what I'm struggling with is cashing our exits and taking profits. So I've done it throughout time, but I haven't stuck to it 100%. And I think that's one of those things where I try to do everything as to the best of my abilities. And then when I fail at some things, and I kind of beat myself up over it. I know I shouldn't, but I still do. And I look at them like, damn it, I know I should have taken profits. I had the plan in front of me. I mean, I executed the plan maybe 80%, but I missed this 20% where I should have taken it here and I screwed up. I think that's one of those things where it's like, well, just do better as best you can. Or if you didn't do any, just, try to get going.
Yeah, I'll tell you, not having the ability to constantly put new money into the market, which is my issue. I was lucky enough to get money into projects that did very well, right?
Yeah.
And I developed this thing, basically stealing it from this guy, Nick Black. I love Nick. He uses the term scalping. And so if you have a strategy, like for instance, you have a coin you bought and you're not going to touch it until it 10Xs. But then eventually that day comes. Let's say it does come at 10x's. If you take your original investment plus a huge chunk of profit, everything that's left is pure profit. And then what do you do with that, with what you've taken out of that coin? Well, I would take new positions in projects that I would like to, but didn't have the cash flow to do so.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I did that, and I did that. And that worked well for me all the way through until about the beginning of 2021. And then 2021 is when, like, the yield that I was earning on these things that started in mid 2020 started kicking in, and the values were getting real, right? You know, I'm making $4,000 a month in yield off my coins. I would scrape yield to take new positions in coins or bolster. Like, I'd take 5 coins, scrape 50% of the yield, and buy more Bitcoin or buy more Ethereum or whatever I really wanted to start getting a deeper exposure to.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you about taxes.
Okay.
So when you do that, you know, when you, whatever position you are, even if you go to USDC and then you buy everything else, how do you deal with your taxes that you're doing this? Because this is one of the things that I was, after that video, I think there was a bunch of questions about, like, what about taxes? What about taxes? What about taxes? I'm like, well, you got to pay your taxes. But I mean, how do you deal with it? You just say, well it is what it is, and then that's it.
No, I think that you should have everything should be well thought out, right? And there's a lot of information out there. This is what I do, and this is what we talk about in the investment club. For instance, if you have a dollar cost averaging strategy and you're doing $100 every Friday regardless, if you keep good records, you'll know what your entry price was on that day, right?
Yeah.
Let's say there is a dip in the market. Well, I've got 10 purchases of Bitcoin over $50,000 and the market's at $38,000 right now. Well, guess what? A very smart thing to do is sell everything that you bought over $38,000 immediately. Capture the tax loss, and then immediately buy it back. You're going to pay a little bit in fees, right? You're going to pay a little bit in fees, but you'll get all of those Satoshis back. So you have the same amount of Bitcoin as you had before you sold it all, but you've just captured a loss. Now, when it comes to take profits, Rob, you have a loss to write off against profits. That's the capital gains strategy. Me, I do mostly yield scraping to get more coins, and yield scraping doesn't fall under capital gains. Yield scraping falls under dividend interest income, and I'm allowed up to $38,200 a year before any of it becomes taxable.
Because
it's dividend interest income, and I have no income. Jerry has no income. Yeah. So I can go all the way up to $38,200 before I worry about a tax consequence. So all of my yield scraping is tax-free legally.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's really good. So yeah, for yield scraping, and that's pretty much, you just kind of sit back and go, just let it come to me, right? Where do you get your yield?
I own 31 assets, and 31 assets pay me yield.
No, I mean, which platform?
I'm sorry. Okay. The ones like Bitcoin, I have to use Celcius and Nexo. There's no other choice.
Yeah.
Ethereum, I have to use Celcius and Nexo because the 2.0 contract is not, you don't get it till it's 2.0. But everything else is in its own private wallet on its own protocol wallet. Like my Algo is in my Algo wallet. Cardano is in Daedalus. Solano is in the Soulflare. Avalanche is in the Avalanche. I mean, they're all in their own private wallets, staking through the protocol. So I don't like platforms. I don't like the risk of there is a risk with platforms that you should know is there. And we're going to get into that, matter of fact, when we segue into the road forward.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to it.
You want to go right to the road forward? Let's just look ahead. Okay, folks, as important as it is to have an understanding of the upside of this market, it is also so important to understand the pitfalls and roadblocks that could come at you. Just as any good person in this industry or any investor is thinking about things like sudden wealth syndrome and preparing, if they pass, that their assets get cleanly passed to the next person, all those things are important, but don't lose sight of the gains or the things that could take the losses. So let's talk about for a second what you see as real headwinds. What are the things that could really catalyst that could propel this market forward, and things that we can look at as indicators for those catalysts taking place?
I mean, as far as like fundamentally,
sure. Anything you want to chime in on?
Yeah, fundamentally, the things to look at is, of course, man, I wish that. Did you see that fake story today about XRP settling? Oh, I fell for that one. Yeah, and I was like, that's a bummer.
Rob had to go erase a tweet.
Yeah, I deleted a tweet because I was like, I'm not going to be part of that. So that, I mean, but so that part's good. And anything that has to do with like the government saying we're not going to ban Bitcoin, we're not going to, really step in and be heavy-handed. That's that type of stuff. Once that XRP lawsuit is gone, then that's fine. Another thing is that I like to look at, as far as like on-chain analysis, is I'll go to Into the Block or Crypto Quant, and there's a couple ones that I look at. One of those is the chart that shows us the exchange reserves. Yeah. And you can see the exchange reserves of how much they have as far as like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And if you look at that, I've been talking about this like the last couple of weeks. Ethereum, the reserves of Ethereum they have are so amazingly low on all the exchanges. I am shocked that it hasn't gone up more so than what it already does. And even today, I was like, well, that makes sense. It's like, I think it went like 9% or 10%, just like Bitcoin did. And then Bitcoin, the same type of thing. So if I'm looking at those types, I mean, that is like a big indicator about, where things are going. Another thing is, so I like to take a look at Bybit, not the one with the leverage trading, but bybt.com. And you can take a look at the longs and the shorts just to see like where the sentiment it is. But be careful with that, because last time there was a ton of shorts. They all got liquidated. And then, of course, last time all the longs were there, they all got liquidated too, because everything just dipped down. So like, I still like to take a look at that and see the sentiment. Other than that, I mean, gosh, how much more good news can we have? I mean, we've got Bitcoin as legal tender in a country. We've got other countries looking at it as legal tender. We had Jerome Powell, the head of the the Federal Reserve, come out and said they're not going to ban Bitcoin. And and then all the different institutions that are getting in, either into Bitcoin or by proxy, like Grayscale, they've gotten into like Bitcoin mining. That's a $9 trillion company going, we believe in it. And then Visa just, there's a story out that they're going to do a second layer solution for payments, which is going to be built on Ethereum. So, I mean, that is, if you want to look at like the positives in different areas, that's pretty damn big. I just don't see how we can't have a fireworks of a Q4.
Well, I'll tell you, those things that you mentioned, although I think add to the narrative, right? I'm really looking more structurally, right? And so I'm going to bring up a couple of things that I think are both currently headwinds that could easily turn around and become tailwinds and propel this market drastically forward. The first is the Fasb rules. Having Bitcoin or any digital asset on a publicly traded company's balance sheet is marked down as an indefinite intangible. Until those accounting practices change, it's going to be very difficult for the large sums of money to come in. When I first heard the Michael Saylor thing, I thought, oh my God, this is going to open the floodgates, right? This is going to be the thing we need for monster institutional adoption. I had no idea about the Fasb rules or marking down an asset like Bitcoin as an indefinite intangible and what that means, right? What that honestly means. If you folks at home, if you're not clear about Fasb, it's financial accounting business practices, And you should look into indefinite intangible versus mark to market. Mark to market means they price it. Its value is what the market says it is at that time. Writing something down as a definite intangible is the opposite. You get the lowest price it was for that chronological period of time. And even though, Bitcoin went down to 30 and that's the price you have to set it at, but it's currently sitting at 85,000, you still have to mark it as 30,000 because of the definite intangible. You should look into that. It's an important thing to know. I don't think there are as many risk takers in the world of legacy like Michael Saylor. I think he's a major risk taker, and I think he's thought it through and it's logical to him and it makes sense. And I agree with him, but I'm not a Fortune 500 company either with shareholders to appease and compliance officers to keep happy and da-da-da-da-da-da. So once Fasb changes its rules, and believe me, they got a whole coalition writing letters to that organization all the time to get this business accounting practice changed. Until that happens, I think that's a major impediment. It's an impairment. But when it changes, I think it'll change on a dime, because I do believe the pipeline is getting stuff with people who are ready to go when they can. There won't be a lot of ramp up time. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. The other thing is this, could easily become a tailwind, but is currently a headwind. And that is, we really don't know what's going to happen with clarity, right? Our Congress is inept. They're inept. They are not dealing with this well. And the truth of the matter is a very, very small majority of Congress have an understanding of what this space is. Most of them have no idea. So if you're waiting for Congress to pass a law that will be favorable to this industry, don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, what do we got? We got Gary Gensler, who is making it very clear that like a smidgen of this industry is not a security. So I would ask each and every one of you as an investor, ask yourself this question. What if the SEC came after your portfolio? The coins in your portfolio, the SEC goes after like they did Ripple. How are you going to react and what are you going to do? Ask yourself that question. I have, and it scared the shit out of me last week. It really did. I was filled with anxiety.
I'll blame you.
I was filled with anxiety when I asked myself that question and looked through my portfolio and went, that would really hurt me.
That would really hurt.
And it would impair the things that I put in motion, like I'm buying this property and I want to build my home and da-da-da-da-da. It would greatly impair those things.
I think so.
So ask yourself that question. So those things that I believe are impairments, I believe if they change, will become major tailwinds and push this industry to a whole nother level. And now it's about time horizon, right? When? Well, I think the SEC has got a big fish with Ripple, and they probably will not get crazy until that case gets settled, because I think that case could present precedent for each further court action if they were to, continue with this process of what do they call it? Regulation through enforcement. Yeah. Your thoughts? Yes. You think I'm full of shit? I don't know what I'm talking about. Just use a few fancy words, or is there some logic in what you heard?
Yeah, there's logic, and then regulation through enforcement. I think you hit on nail on the head. That's the problem, and I just don't see. I kind of see where Gensler's coming from, and everybody's screaming, I'm sure right now at their computer screen. But hear me out. Gensler is, and of course, no matter if you think he is, just a puppet of the regime, or just how awful he is, but you have to take a look at the history of that guy. Gensler's he's been on Goldman Sachs. He's a pretty high achiever. He's been the head of the CFTC. Jerry is drunk again. That's okay. And and then of course, when he comes into the SEC, he's coming into a place where the SEC has been a joke. They've been almost like a laughing stock. They've been privy to, or cast away as the section of the government that is supposed to regulate but doesn't want to regulate. And they've gotten caught with their pants down many a time, especially with look at what's his name? The big Ponzi scheme guy back in the early 2000s.
Madoff?
Yeah, Bernie Madoff. I mean, he was, for Pete's sakes, he was like on the board of like these, huge institutions, and they were just overlooking it time and time again. So Gensler gets in here, and it's like a laughing stock essentially. And he's not the guy that's going to be like, oh, okay, we'll just do the same stuff. I think he's going to put his stamp on things, and the first thing he's going to do is like, you want to do this? Oh, we'll do this, and this is where I'm going. And the thing is that he is boxed in to the Howey test, which was created in 1933, right? In the 30s, to deal with a 2021 problem. It makes no sense. And he's looking at it, he's like, that's what it says, and that's the laws. And he said it perfectly in the Senate hearing committee. He goes, look, the laws that are written, it specifically says this, this, and this, which goes to the securities. If you want to write another law, go right ahead, which I'm sure in the back of his mind, he's probably laughing because Jerry said it right. Jerry said, if you're waiting for Congress to pass a law, you're going to keep waiting. And he knows it too. So it's like, look, if you think that that's going to happen, good luck. But this is the laws and the rules that we have coming forth. I look at the letter of the law, and that's what it says. Whether if you agree with them or not, I mean, it is what it is. I think it's dirty about him and not him, but Clayton and Hinman beforehand and their connections to the Ethereum Foundation. That is dirty as dirty can be. Sorry, that is a conflict of interest. But as far as Gensler's Gensler.
Well, I think Nick Black from Crypto and Coffee Live, I think he made a very good point. If you dislike Gary Gensler, then you're probably not really zoomed out and looking at the big picture enough, right? If it is in fact true, our Congress is inept, we couldn't ask for a better guy than Gary Gensler. He's actually knowledgeable about blockchain and digital assets. Now, we may not agree with his stance or his position, but the point that there's somebody there that is taking a position at least gives us some idea of where we're at. Jay Clayton did no such thing. Jay Clayton was so gray, so ambiguous. You know what I mean? It was like, what is this guy thinking? Right?
You know what? Clayton
Nobody really knew. Gary Gensler is at least letting us know what he's thinking about. And to some degree, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand the law in this area that well. He makes sense when you listen to him, man. He's very clear about his thoughts and feelings about this. And I think people should take heed of that. Even if you disagree, you should acknowledge the fact that whether you agree or not, this dude could create major change in this space. He could. He's the one guy that could pass a guidance letter that would stand until Congress changed it.
Yeah.
We need to be very clear about that. Hence, your diversification. You're good. It's good that you're diversified. I'm sitting 100% in crypto, and my sphincter is tight.
It's what's pretty happy is Mike Novogratz, because he got in so early with Ethereum, and he's been pushing it so hard, and I can understand why. It makes a lot of sense. And now he's like, well, look, I've got the SEC behind me, so I'm good to go wherever, whatever's happening. I don't think, and who knows? I mean, maybe Ethereum is the end all be all. It just, everybody complains and bitches about the gas fees, which are just atrocious. Yeah, they're just awful. However,
good word.
A great word. And however, as we move forward, I thought that the Lightning Network, I thought Bitcoin was dead as a cryptocurrency, as a currency. And I was wrong with El Salvador. We'll see if they can scale that up to past 5 million people. That's pretty damn good, in all honesty. And then if Ethereum can hit their goals, Ethereum 2.0 is not coming out this year. The second part of it's coming out, and they're barely going to get across the finish line. The last part, with the shard chains. That doesn't come out until late 2022. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of room for all the other smart contract platforms.
We'll see. I think so. From the road going forward, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting, right? The catalyst that I'm looking for is the SEC to do something, right? So obviously the Ripple case is part of that. The Fasb accounting treatment, that is something I'm looking for. Because even if the SEC doesn't do anything and the Fasb rule changes, that opens the floodgates for balance sheet acquisition of Bitcoin on a much broader scale than we've seen. What we got 26 publicly traded companies got Bitcoin on their balance sheet. I'd like to see 1,000 personally for me. And then some major headwinds, right? We got major tailwinds, I mean. And that is if they do pass a Bitcoin ETF. I think that'll create some buzz. I think there'll be a lot of involvement because now all of a sudden, that's an asset that anybody can hold. There's no weird accounting practice with that.
True.
You know what I mean? Just like with Grayscale right now. And then you got the energy narrative. The energy narrative about Bitcoin is dying. That whole it's dirty, it's garbage. Bitcoin uses the same amount of energy as 3 other solar systems bullshit that we used to hear a lot. You know, that kind of FUD. Systems. You know what I mean? We got Bokoki or Botaki or whatever his name is down in El Salvador saying we're building this thing. We're building this volcano mining thing, and you're going to see clean energy miners pop up in places that that are using the energy that nobody else could use. Stranded stuff, natural stuff, wind, solar, that water power that nobody else can get to. Volcanoes,
which
is good stuff.
Yeah, they mined. Apparently, they mined it. And before we go on, I just want to say that congrats to Jenny and Ted, and who else did I give T-Coin to? Let's see. Jenny, congrats.
Did you get Bo Jillick? Bo Jillick? This guy? Bo Jillick?
No.
He was the first one.
I know. I said, put that in the private chat. It says I can't copy that right there.
Brady couldn't do it. You can copy and paste from the chat, and Brady, my producer, can't do that. All right, that's it. I'm getting a new producer.
So yeah, Bo Jillick will do it. And then see Bo. I didn't do. Who else was it? Hold on. JDO, congrats. And I see about a webcam, hot girls and boys video.
We got spammed with it. I caught it after the 12th thing. I blocked them. They're blocked.
I think that's Mullet's side job. All right, see, Jenny.
Brady, get yourself ready. You're coming in for final thoughts.
Melissa, congrats.
9, 8.
Oh, and Arthur's Pickle.
Ooh.
Palaculums, congrats.
Ooh,
you got 10,000 T coins. James Delita, you got 10,000 tomato coins. Congratulations. That's it. Did I miss anybody? Artur's, I got you. Randy, did you? I think I gave Randy.
Did you catch? I think it was Ajay. Hi, Lori Bearfield. I haven't seen you in a long time.
And then Jerry, congrats. You got 10,000 T coins.
Jay Verma, did you catch this one? This person? I was the second one to provide an address, he says. Anyway, Brady, final thoughts. Come on in, Brady.
AJ.
Hello, and good evening.
Yes.
What's going on?
So, Brady, your thoughts on the show? What'd you think? You've been here from the beginning, you listened to the whole thing. Your thoughts? Share, please.
I need to hurry up and get all this stuff done. Your Proton email idea, flipping brilliant because
stole it from Nick Black.
Well, it's brilliant because it's something
I actually didn't steal from Nick Black, but everything else I've stole from Nick Black.
it's something that you can do on your own without having to teach anyone anything. And I think in your given circumstance, that was kind of your only option. I'm on the other side of that coin where I'm trying to piece together the understanding of what would need to happen and going from there. So it's, and I can spend all the time in the world with this person because it's obviously to their best interest to understand what it is that I'm teaching them. But having the patience to go back and forth, because that person also happens to be who will become my wife eventually. So it's sort of a emails. I like that. I might start there first. What was the other thing? Oh, the volcanoes. I still have and I guess maybe it was because I was a miner. I have a weird perspective on the incentive to do it. So I'm thinking those volcanoes, I guess they'll generate an economy around it.
Yeah.
Or at least help make the idea of however it is it's going to work, the Bitcoin brand will hopefully be used for beneficial things, and it'll just start in whatever countries they develop in. I just don't know if the mining part is 100% needed, but I guess in today's age, having it look like renewable is, what's the SGC? What's the acronym for?
That's it. Yeah. The green,
Compliant,
the whole green movement. So basically what you're saying is that you don't know if it'll actually work and be good, but you totally agree it's great for the narrative to push this forward.
I think it works to further people's beliefs, but it doesn't need to be expended in order to accomplish its goal.
So like if we just had a bunch of machines with lights that were flashing for the photo op, that would be great. They don't actually need to mine Bitcoin. They just need to look like they're mining Bitcoin.
The thrill I got from doing it was believing that I was actually printing money.
Ah.
So it's sort of like to be able to have that power and to use it. Yes, it came at a cost in that I had overpaid for the Bitcoin at that time, but looking back now, that was a long time ago. So it's gone up from there. So it's sort of a catch-22 of, I guess, me trying to be right and make money just gave me an education that was on the edge, but never in the middle.
So while you were getting drunk on power, right, printing your own money, by any chance did you feel compelled to put on a suit and go lie to Congress?
No, and that was the weird part. I think I handled it. I handled it like what they tell Peter Parker, having the great responsibility, blah blah blah. That's kind of, I think, my approach, and just because I would basically expect someone else to do the same thing. So it's sort of what goes around comes around, and as long as that option is made available to people that, come from Rob's side of the whatever internet, as long as you have that force working, I think it's like if someone dropped a $10 bill, you'd tell them, hey, you dropped your $10 bill. Or if someone sent you, a million ADA and you said, whoa, hey, whoa, you give it back, or, whatever. So it's going to be an interesting, not trust building exercise, but we're going to get to know a lot more people faster, and financially, or I don't know, it's psychologically, but financially more intimate, I guess is the weird way to say it, because you don't.
Financial intimacy.
Well, it's trust.
An entire new field of psychology.
Yeah, it's going to be big.
Right on. Brady, we'll catch you backstage in a minute. So, Rob, your final thoughts, man. We had an interesting discussion. We covered a lot of ground. And I'd just like to know what you're going to leave the show with.
This is what I can say. Out of all the things that we just talked about, I want everybody to remember that I still believe that this last quarter is, like I've always said, it should be fireworks. We've been through the ups and downs, and we've seen these cycles come about. I just don't see how this last quarter can't be pretty good. I know there's some people out there that say that we're going to go through another crypto winter, and we've already gone through the bull market. The top was back in April, and I just don't believe that narrative right now. I don't think that we're going to go up forever. I think that's ridiculous. But I think for October, maybe still a little bit of shaky. November looking pretty good, and I think December, January, and February, I think we should see some pretty good highs. So for everybody out there who's been sticking around for all this time, congratulations. I think this is the fruits of your labor at the end of a long road. I hope.
Well, I think that's wonderful, and I'll tell you what. I mean, we've discussed this, I believe, on your show. I'm not of the opinion that we're in a fully formed market, therefore we have market cycles that are bull and bear and da. I honestly, I'm kind of coming from the network side. I believe that we're early adopters in this. The adoption curve will go high and to the right in short periods of time, and it'll correct down and da. But overall, over time, it's going to go up. So, if you broaden and that's what I do. I just broaden my scope out a little bit, right? I'm looking at this as a 3 to 5 year early adopter phase from where we are now. I think we got another 3 years of early adopters, and then we'll start getting into those upper echelons of adoption where we start getting, but some of these things need to happen. The regulation, the clarity around regulation has to happen. We will not get mass adoption without that. We won't get mass adoption without good accounting treatment. It's just, technical thing after technical thing. I hope you're right. I would love my portfolio to gain another 40, 50, 60, 100% by the end of the year, because that would allow me to do some things with money that I'm waiting for the portfolio to allow me to do. So I hope you're right, young man. Folks,
so.
My final thoughts is tune into digital asset news on a regular basis. Stay plugged into what's going on, because Rob, you do a great job keeping us informed on a daily basis. I can't scour the news like you do. You do a great job of it. We all need a filter, right? So either you're a great researcher or you find a good researcher and somebody who will just tell you what's going on today. And that I love your channel for that. I tune in you produce a video every day, and I watch a digital asset news video almost every day.
Thanks.
So
yeah, I try.
I'm there. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Whatever you got from this, I hope that there was at least one piece that can become actionable for you in one way, shape, or another. Whether it's thinking about the people you're going to leave your crypto to, and is that chain of custody clear and defined? Whether it's not, you're developing your investment strategy, whether or not you found a great source on the internet for daily crypto news. This guy next to me over there. Whether it's just thinking about how you're going to structure your future. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for helping to build this channel. And Rob, thank you for showing up. And for everybody that contributed in the chat tonight, gracias and pura vida.